Admiral Kyle Morrison stood at the big window of his ship. Outside, space was dark and cold. His ship, the UES Defender, was hiding behind Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. 3 days ago, a message had come from far away. It was from aliens who called themselves the Galactic Hegemony. The message was not friendly. The aliens wanted Earth to give up. They wanted humans to become part of their big empire. They said humans had 3 days to say yes. If Earth said no, the aliens would attack. Captain Lisa Grant walked up to Morrison. She had papers in her hands. The papers had information about the alien ships coming toward Earth. Lisa looked worried. "Admiral, the reports are getting worse," Lisa said. "Our deep space stations are seeing more and more alien ships. They count over 2,000 ships of different sizes. All of them are coming here." Morrison nodded. He had expected this. The aliens thought they were very strong. They had taken over hundreds of worlds before. They thought Earth would be easy to beat. But the aliens had made a big mistake. They thought they knew everything about humans. They were wrong. Lieutenant Commander Jake Phillips came into the room. He was in charge of Earth's spy network. He had important news to share. "Sir, we need to talk about what the aliens know," Jake said. "They think we are still weak. Their information about us is 50 years old. They remember when we could barely fly between planets. They think we still use old rockets and simple guns." Morrison smiled a little. The aliens had no idea what humans had been doing for 50 years. While the aliens thought Earth was scared and hiding, human scientists had been working hard. They had been building things in secret places deep under the ground. Dr. Amanda Foster was one of these scientists. She worked on something called Project Aegis. Amanda and her team had found crashed alien ships years ago. They had taken the alien technology apart and learned how it worked. Then they made it better. Now humans had weapons that could make the aliens' big fleet useless. The aliens had more ships, but humans had better weapons. Morrison called for a meeting with all the important people. They met in a room deep inside the ship. The room had no windows. It was very secure. "The aliens sent us their final message yesterday," Morrison told everyone. "They think we will give up without a fight. They think we are too weak to stop them." He pressed a button, and the alien message played. The voice was cold and strange. It spoke in perfect English, but something about it made everyone feel uncomfortable. "People of Earth," the alien voice said, "you have been chosen to join the Galactic Hegemony. Your world will become part of our great empire. You will work for us. You will obey our rules. If you agree to this, we will be kind to you. If you fight us, we will destroy everything on your planet. You have 72 hours to decide." The room was quiet after the message ended. Everyone knew what this meant. The aliens were not asking. They were demanding. Captain Grant spoke first. "Admiral, our scouts report that the alien fleet is huge. They have ships we have never seen before. Some of their big ships are 20 kilometers long. Their weapons could destroy entire cities." Jake Phillips nodded. "That's true, but they don't know what we have now. Our information shows they are using the same technology they had 50 years ago. They haven't improved much, but we have." Dr. Foster joined the meeting by video link. She was calling from a secret base under the Rocky Mountains. Behind her, people in white coats were working on strange machines. "Admiral Morrison," Dr. Foster said, "Project Aegis is ready. We have been testing our new weapons for months. They work better than we hoped. The alien shields cannot stop them. Their ships cannot detect them. We can hit them before they know we are there." Morrison felt better hearing this, but he also felt the weight of making a big decision. If they fought the aliens and lost, everyone on Earth would die. If they gave up, humans would become slaves forever. "What about our fleet?" Morrison asked. "How many ships do we have ready?" Lisa looked at her papers. "We have about 500 ships that look ready to fight. But most of them are not what they seem to be. The aliens think they are seeing cargo ships and research vessels. They don't know these ships are actually warships in disguise. This was part of Earth's big plan. For 50 years, humans had been building a secret fleet. Ships that looked like ordinary cargo haulers were really powerful warships. Space stations that looked like mining platforms had weapons that could destroy moons. Morrison made his choice. He recorded a message to send back to the aliens. To the Galactic Hegemony, Morrison said into the camera, Earth is under the protection of humanity. We do not want to fight you, but we will if we have to. Do not come into our solar system. If you do, we will consider it an act of war. We strongly advise you to go away and leave us alone. Jake Phillips sent the message through space. It would take hours to reach the alien fleet. The answer came back quickly. It was shorter than the first message, but much more angry. Foolish humans, the alien voice said. You cannot threaten the hegemony. We have destroyed species much stronger than you. Your primitive technology is no match for our power. Surrender now or face total destruction. This is your last warning. Morrison looked around the room at his officers. They all knew what would happen next. The aliens would not listen. They would come to Earth anyway. They thought humans were weak and afraid. Soon, the aliens would learn how wrong they were. The Empire had been warned, but they would breach Earth's atmosphere anyway. And when they did, humanity would show them what 50 years of secret preparation had created. The waiting was over. The real war was about to begin. High Commander Zethkalar stood on the bridge of his massive ship. The ship was called the Infinite Dominion, and it was the biggest warship in the alien fleet. Behind him, 2,000 other ships moved through space like a dark cloud. They had never lost a battle. Zethkalar looked at the small yellow star ahead. Around that star was a blue and green planet called Earth. The planet was home to the humans who dared to refuse the hegemony's offer. Foolish creatures, Zethkalar thought to himself. They think their primitive weapons can stop us. His computer showed him information about Earth's defenses. The humans had some small warships floating around their planets. They had weapon platforms near the big gas giant planets. They also had early warning stations scattered around their solar system. It all looked very weak. The hegemony had conquered hundreds of worlds. Earth looked no different from all the others. The aliens expected to win this battle in a few hours. On Earth's surface, things looked different. President Catherine Blake sat in a secure room deep under the Rocky Mountains. The room was full of screens showing the alien fleet getting closer. She was not afraid. She was ready. Activate all defense protocols, President Blake said into her communicator. It's time to show them what humanity can really do. Around the solar system, things that looked like mining stations and research posts suddenly came to life. They had been hiding their true purpose for 50 years. Now their real weapons were ready to fire. Colonel Ryan Murphy was in command of these hidden weapon platforms. From the outside, his station looked like a simple asteroid mining operation. Inside, it had weapons that could destroy entire fleets. All stations report ready, Ryan said into his radio. The alien scouts are getting close. We will let them pass the outer markers, then spring our trap. Captain Nathan Price was flying a small fighter ship called Raptor 1. His ship looked old and simple compared to the alien vessels. But looks can be fooling. Inside his ship was technology that the aliens had never seen before. Nathan, S squadron of 12 fighters moved toward the alien scouts. The alien ships were much bigger than the human fighters. Each alien scout was the size of a small building. They had thick armor and powerful shields. But Nathan was not worried. He knew what his ship could really do. The first alien ships to die were these scouts. They were flying ahead of the main fleet, checking for danger. They found more danger than they could handle. Nathan pressed a button on his control panel. A beam of invisible energy shot out from his ship. The beam hit the nearest alien scout ship. For a second, nothing happened. Then the entire alien ship simply disappeared. It didn't explode. It didn't burn. It just stopped existing. The other alien scouts tried to figure out what had happened. Their computers could not explain how their friend had vanished. They sent messages back to the main fleet, but they could not say what had killed the first ship. Nathan, S squadron destroyed 6 more scout ships in the same way. Each ship just disappeared completely. The aliens had never seen weapons like this before. Dr. Eric Stone was watching the battle from Earth Defense Command. He could see everything that was happening through hidden cameras on the weapon platforms. The new quantum weapons were working perfectly. The disruptor beams are performing exactly as designed, Dr. Stone said to his team. The alien ships cannot defend against weapons that attack matter itself at the smallest level. The main alien fleet was now crossing the orbit of Neptune. Admiral Morrison was on his flagship, the UES Defender, waiting for this moment. "All stations. This is Admiral Morrison," he said into his communicator. "Execute Operation Prometheus. Show them what humanity has become." All around the solar system, ships that had been hiding suddenly revealed themselves. Cargo haulers dropped fake panels from their hulls, showing massive weapon arrays. Research ships opened hidden hangar bays full of fighter craft. Mining stations turned toward the alien fleet and powered up guns that could crack planets. Captain Marie Thompson commanded one of the biggest human warships, the USS Sovereign. Her ship had been disguised as a space construction platform for decades. Now it showed its true nature as a weapon of incredible power. "All weapon systems online," Marie said to her crew. "Target the alien command ships first. Make them know they made a mistake coming here." The human fleet was much smaller than the alien fleet. The aliens had 2,000 ships. The humans had about 500 combat-ready vessels. But the humans had been preparing for this fight for 50 years. The quantum disruptor arrays fired first. Invisible beams reached across millions of kilometers of space. Where the beams touched alien ships, matter simply stopped existing. Holes appeared in alien hulls. Pieces of ships vanished without warning. Commander Zethkalar watched in growing horror as his mighty fleet began falling apart. Ships that had conquered worlds were being destroyed by weapons that should not exist. His tactical computers could not analyze the human weapons because they worked in ways the aliens had never seen. "How is this possible?" Zethkalar demanded. "These humans were barely flying between planets 50 years ago. How do they have weapons that can do this?" His science officer had no answer. The alien computers were trying to understand the human weapons, but they could not. The weapons seemed to break the laws of physics that the aliens knew. General Patricia Adams was commanding the defense from a base on Mars. She was ready to use humanity's second secret weapon. If the quantum disruptors were scary, the gravity manipulation systems were terrifying. "Activate gravity field generators," Patricia ordered. "Show them what happens when you mess with the basic forces of the universe." Around the alien fleet, space itself began to change. Invisible fields of gravity appeared where there should be empty space. Some alien ships were crushed by their own weight as gravity increased around them. Other ships were pulled apart as different parts of their hulls experienced different levels of gravity. Lieutenant Commander Ben Rogers was on a stealth ship called the Wraith. He watched alien formations break apart as their ships were destroyed by forces they could not see or understand. "This is incredible," Ben said to his crew. "Their ships are being torn apart by gravity fields. They don't even know what's hitting them." The aliens tried to fight back. They had powerful plasma cannons and particle beam weapons. Thousands of energy bolts filled space as the alien fleet opened fire on the human ships. But humanity had prepared for this too. Dr. Rachel Kim had designed adaptive shields that could absorb energy attacks and make the shields stronger. The more the aliens shot at human ships, the harder the human ships became to destroy. Captain Steve Harrison commanded a ship called the Liberty. His ship flew right into the middle of the alien fleet. Hundreds of alien weapons fired at him. His ship's hull glowed bright white as it absorbed all that energy. Then Steve fired back. All the energy his ship had absorbed was focused into a single beam. The beam cut through 12 alien ships like they were made of paper. As the first day of battle ended, something impossible had happened. The mighty hegemony fleet, which had never known defeat, was running away. Over half their ships had been destroyed. The rest were fleeing as fast as they could. The humans had won the first battle. But Admiral Morrison knew this was just the beginning. The aliens would try to escape and tell their empire what had happened. That could not be allowed to happen. The hunt was about to begin. The battle for Earth's solar system continued as more human ships came out of hiding. Ships that had looked like peaceful cargo vessels and research platforms now showed their true nature. They were warships, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Captain Marie Thompson stood on the bridge of the USS Sovereign. Her ship was one of 12 massive warships that humanity had built in secret over 50 years. Each ship had enough firepower to destroy small moons. But it was not just the amount of power that made them dangerous. It was the type of weapons they carried. The quantum disruptor arrays were the most frightening weapons in human space. They fired invisible beams that simply erased parts of enemy ships from existence. The beams worked by breaking apart the tiny particles that made up all matter. When the beam hit an alien ship, pieces of that ship just stopped being there. Marie watched her weapons officer target a group of alien cruisers. Each alien ship was over 1 kilometer long and carried thousands of crew members. They had thick armor and powerful shields that had protected them in hundreds of battles. None of that mattered against human weapons. "Fire Disruptor Array 1 through 6, Marie ordered. 6 invisible beams reached out across space. Where they touched the alien ships, huge sections simply disappeared. One alien cruiser lost its entire front half. Another had its engine section completely erased. The third ship had a hole cut right through its middle. The alien crews could not understand what was happening to them. Their damage control teams reported that parts of their ships were just gone, not destroyed by explosions or melted by heat. Just gone, as if they had never existed at all. Commander Zethkalar was still alive on his command ship, but he was no longer confident. His mighty fleet was being destroyed by weapons that his scientists said were impossible. Ships that had conquered entire star systems were vanishing piece by piece. He tried to call for reports from his ship captains, but many of them were already dead. The ships that were still alive were reporting damage that made no sense. "Sir," his tactical officer said, "Captain Vexmore reports that his ship has lost 3 decks, but there was no explosion. The metal and everything on those decks just disappeared. His engineers say it looks like those sections of the ship were never built." Zethkalar could not believe what he was hearing. How could parts of a ship just disappear? General Patricia Adams was coordinating humanity's second wave of attacks from her command center on Mars. The gravity manipulation weapons were ready to fire. These weapons had originally been designed to help build space stations and move asteroids. Human engineers had turned them into tools of war. "Activate gravity field projectors," Patricia commanded. "Target the alien heavy cruisers first." Around the alien fleet, invisible fields of gravity began to form. The aliens could not see these fields, but they could feel their effects. Ships that had been flying in formation suddenly found themselves being pulled in different directions. Lieutenant Commander Ben Rogers was watching from his stealth ship, the Wraith. He saw alien formations break apart as their ships were caught by artificial gravity fields. Some ships were pulled toward each other and crashed together. Others were stretched apart as different parts of the ship experienced different levels of gravity. "Look at that," Ben said to his crew. "The big alien battleship is being pulled apart by its own weight. The gravity field around it is so strong that the ship cannot hold together." The massive alien battleship, over 2 kilometers long, began to bend in the middle. Its hull was designed to handle the stress of normal flight, but not the crushing force of artificial gravity 20 times stronger than normal. Metal beams snapped like twigs. Hull plates buckled and tore. The mighty warship broke in half and died in the vacuum of space. Other alien ships tried to escape the gravity traps, but that only made things worse. When they used their engines to try to pull away, the stress on their hulls increased. Ships that might have survived being slowly crushed were torn apart when they tried to run. The hegemony fleet fought back with everything they had. Thousands of plasma cannons opened fire on the human ships. Particle beam arrays that could melt through asteroid-sized rocks targeted the human fleet. Energy weapons that had destroyed the defenses of 100 worlds unleashed their fury. But humanity was ready for this attack too. Dr. Rachel Kim had spent 20 years developing adaptive shield technology. The shields worked by absorbing enemy energy attacks and using that energy to make the shields stronger. It was like trying to destroy a sponge by pouring water on it. The more the aliens attacked, the harder it became to hurt the human ships. Captain Steve Harrison was commanding the battlecruiser Liberty. His ship was flying directly toward the center of the alien fleet. Hundreds of alien weapons were shooting at him. His ship's hull began to glow as it absorbed more and more energy. "Shield absorption at 60%, his weapons officer reported. 70%, 80%. "Sir, we're absorbing more energy than we've ever tested before." Steve was not worried. He had faith in human technology. Keep us on course. Let them keep shooting. They're just making us stronger. The Liberty's hull was now glowing bright white as it absorbed the energy from hundreds of alien weapons. The ship looked like a small star flying through space, but it was not being destroyed. It was getting more powerful. Shield absorption, at maximum capacity, the weapons officer announced. All energy collectors are full. We're ready to return fire. Steve smiled. This was the moment he had been waiting for. Fire everything. Show them what happens when you attack a human ship. The Liberty released all the energy it had absorbed in a single, focused beam. The beam was brighter than the sun, and hotter than the core of a star. It cut through the alien fleet like a sword through smoke. 12 alien ships died instantly as the beam passed through them. The energy was so intense that it turned their hulls into gas. The aliens had never seen a weapon that could use their own attacks against them. All around the solar system, the same thing was happening. Human ships were absorbing alien energy attacks and shooting that energy back at their enemies. The aliens were literally destroying themselves with their own weapons. Captain Nathan Price was still flying his fighter, Raptor 1. He had destroyed 8 alien scout ships with his quantum disruptor. But there were still many enemies left. He decided to try something new. Nathan flew his small fighter directly at an alien heavy cruiser. The alien ship was 1,000 times bigger than his fighter. It had enough guns to destroy a small fleet. But Nathan was not afraid. He activated his ship's special defensive system. Energy shields made from quantum fields surrounded his fighter. The alien ship fired everything it had at the tiny human craft. Nathan's fighter absorbed all the energy from the alien weapons. Then it fired that energy back in a concentrated burst. The burst was so powerful that it punched a hole completely through the alien ship from front to back. As the second day of battle ended, the impossible had become reality. The hegemony fleet, which had never lost a battle in 300 years, was in full retreat. Over half their ships were destroyed. The rest were running away as fast as their engines could carry them. Commander Zethkalar looked at what remained of his once mighty fleet. Less than 800 ships were still able to fight. Over 1,200 ships had been destroyed by weapons that should not exist. He sent a message to all remaining ships. All vessels retreat to the edge of the system. We must escape and report what we have seen. The Empire must know about these humans and their impossible weapons. But Admiral Morrison was already planning humanity's next move. The aliens could not be allowed to escape. If they returned to their empire with news of human weapons, the aliens would come back with bigger fleets and better plans. The hunt was about to begin, and this time, no alien ship would escape to tell the tale. The alien fleet was running away, but Admiral Morrison knew they could not be allowed to escape. If even one alien ship made it back to their empire, they would tell their leaders about humanity's secret weapons. Then the aliens would return. With bigger fleets and better plans. Morrison called a meeting with all his senior officers. They gathered on the bridge of the UES Defender while the battle smoke was still clearing from space around them. Listen carefully, Morrison said to his officers. We have won the first battle, but the war is not over. Every alien ship that entered our solar system must be destroyed. None of them can be allowed to return home. Captain Lisa Grant looked concerned. Admiral, our ships are designed to defend Earth, not to chase enemies across the galaxy. Can we really hunt down a retreating fleet? Morrison smiled. We have been preparing for this possibility for 20 years. Show them the pursuit ships. On the main screen, images appeared of ships that looked different from the rest of the human fleet. These ships were longer and sleeker. They had been built specifically for long-distance operations far from Earth. Captain Jennifer Clark commanded one of these ships. The USS Vengeance was designed to chase enemy fleets across interstellar space. It had advanced engines that could travel faster than anything in the alien fleet. It also had quantum tracking systems that could follow enemy ships no matter where they ran. All pursuit squadrons, this is Admiral Morrison, he said over the communication system. You are authorized to begin Operation Cleanup. Track down every alien ship that entered our solar system. None of them can be allowed to survive. The quantum tracking systems had been Dr. Alan Davis's greatest achievement. During the battle, every alien ship had been marked with quantum signatures. These signatures were invisible tags that stuck to the alien ships like paint that could never be washed off. No matter where the aliens ran, human ships could follow them. Jennifer activated her tracking system and watched as the locations of fleeing alien ships appeared on her screen. Some were trying to hide in asteroid fields. Others were running toward the outer edge of the solar system. A few were trying to reach the jump points that would let them escape to other star systems. None of them would make it. "Helm, set course for the nearest group of alien ships," Jennifer ordered. "They're trying to hide behind Jupiter's moons. Let's go show them that there's nowhere to hide from humanity." The USS Vengeance accelerated to incredible speed. Its advanced engines could push the ship faster than any alien vessel could travel. Within hours, Jennifer's ship had caught up to a group of alien cruisers that were trying to hide behind Europa. The aliens saw the human ship approaching and tried to run. Their engines glowed bright blue as they pushed their ships to maximum speed. But it was not fast enough. Jennifer's weapons officer targeted the fleeing aliens. 3 enemy cruisers detected. They're trying to escape toward the outer system. "Don't let them," Jennifer said. "Fire quantum disruptors. Make sure they don't get away." 3 invisible beams reached out across space. The first alien ship simply vanished as the beam erased it from existence. The second ship lost its engine section and drifted helplessly in space. The third ship tried to change direction, but another beam caught it and cut it in half. Commander Tony Mitchell was piloting a fast attack craft called the Interceptor. His mission was to hunt down the smaller alien ships that were trying to escape through the asteroid belt. These ships thought they could hide among the rocks and metal chunks that floated between Mars and Jupiter. They were wrong. Tony's ship had sensors that could detect alien technology even when it was hidden behind asteroids. His quantum disruptor was smaller than the ones on big warships, but it was just as deadly. "Contact detected," Tony's computer announced. "One alien destroyer hiding behind asteroid designation Alpha 77. Tony smiled. "They think a big rock will protect them from human weapons. Let's show them how wrong they are." He fired his disruptor through the asteroid. The beam passed through solid rock like it wasn't there and hit the alien ship on the other side. The alien destroyer disappeared in a flash of light, leaving only empty space where it had been hiding. The hunt continued for weeks. Human ships spread out across the solar system, tracking down every alien vessel that had dared to attack Earth. The aliens tried every trick they could think of to escape. Some alien ships powered down their engines and drifted like dead metal, hoping the humans would think they were destroyed. But the quantum signatures made them easy to find. Other aliens tried to camouflage their ships by covering them with asteroid rock, but human sensors could see through any disguise. Colonel Sandra West was leading the ground assault teams. Some alien ships had tried to land on small moons and asteroids, hoping to hide on solid ground. Sandra's job was to make sure none of them survived. Her Marines wore power armor that made them incredibly strong and fast. Their weapons could cut through alien ship hulls like paper. When the Marines found alien crews hiding in caves or underground bunkers, the aliens discovered that human soldiers were just as deadly as human warships. "Target secured," Sandra reported after clearing out an alien base on one of Saturn's moons. 23 enemy soldiers eliminated. No survivors, no escaped vessels. Dr. Kevin Martinez was studying the alien technology that had been captured during the hunt. What he discovered was shocking. The aliens' weapons and ships were actually less advanced than what humans had been using 50 years ago. "Admiral Morrison," Kevin reported, "I've analyzed their technology. Their advanced weapons are based on principles we abandoned decades ago. Their plasma cannons are less efficient than our old laser systems. Their shields can't even stop our simplest projectile weapons." This news spread quickly through the human fleet. The mighty hegemony, which had conquered hundreds of worlds, was actually using primitive technology. They had won their battles through numbers and brutality, not superior science. The revelation made the human crews more confident. They were not just fighting aliens with better technology. They were fighting aliens with worse technology who Had gotten lucky for a few hundred years. Captain Laura Hughes commanded the destroyer Relentless. She was chasing the last group of alien ships toward the edge of the solar system. These ships had almost reached the jump point that would let them escape to another star system. Almost was not good enough. All alien vessels, Laura broadcast, over the radio. This is Captain Hughes of the human warship Relentless. You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Continue running and they will be slow. The alien commander responded with anger and threats. Human scum, the hegemony will send 10,000 ships to avenge us. Your primitive world will burn. Laura shook her head. These aliens still didn't understand what they were facing. Your choice, she said, and gave the order to fire. The quantum disruptors reached out across millions of kilometers of space. One by one, the last alien ships vanished from existence. The final ship tried to send a distress signal back to the hegemony, but Laura's electronic warfare systems jammed the transmission. The signal was cut off in mid-transmission. All the hegemony would hear was static. As the last alien ship died. In the cold vacuum of space, Admiral Morrison received reports from all over the solar system. Every human ship was reporting the same thing. Mission accomplished. No alien vessels remained alive. The hunt was over. The mighty hegemony fleet that had entered Earth's solar system with over 2,000 ships had been completely destroyed. Not one alien ship survived to tell their empire what had happened. But Morrison knew this was just the beginning. The hegemony would eventually realize that their fleet was missing. They would send scouts to investigate. And when those scouts failed to return, they would send larger fleets. It was time for humanity to take the fight to the enemy. The age of hiding behind defensive weapons was over. Now it was time to show the galaxy what happened when someone threatened Earth. The counterattack was about to begin. 6 months had passed since the hegemony's third conquest fleet had entered Earth's solar system. The alien empire was starting to worry. 2,000 ships and over 1 million of their best warriors had simply vanished without sending a single message back home. Emperor Vexthalin sat on his crystal throne in the capital city of the hegemony's homeworld. He had ruled the empire for over 300 years. In all that time, he had never lost an entire conquest fleet. No species had ever possessed the power to destroy so many ships. His war council was meeting in the Great Hall. Dozens of alien generals and admirals were trying to figure out what had happened to the missing fleet. Your Majesty, said General Crexmore, our deep space sensors detected no signs of battle in the human system. The fleet simply stopped transmitting and disappeared. It is as if they never existed. Emperor Vexithalin was angry and confused. How can 2,000 warships just disappear? Even if the humans destroyed them, there should be wreckage. There should be debris fields. There should be something. But there was nothing. The human ships had been very thorough in their cleanup. Operations. Far away from the alien capital, in the darkness between stars, Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of humanity's newest flagship. The UES Retribution was bigger and more powerful than any ship humans had ever built before. Around it, a fleet of ships that seemed to ignore the laws of physics prepared for humanity's first attack beyond their solar system. The plan was simple, but effective. Humanity would not try to conquer the hegemony's territory. Conquest required occupation and administration that humans were not ready for. Instead, they would systematically destroy the Empire's ability to threaten Earth or any other world. Dr. Angela Cross had perfected the technology that would make this possible. Human ships could now travel faster than light without using the jump gates that other species needed. They could strike targets across interstellar distances. They had defenses that could withstand anything the Empire could throw at them. Captain Brian Kelly commanded the stealth ship Phantom. His mission was to scout deep into hegemony territory and gather information about their military capabilities. What he found was both encouraging and terrifying. The Empire was huge. They controlled over 3,000 worlds. They had enslaved hundreds of different species. Their military had ships scattered across multiple spiral arms of the galaxy. But their size was also their weakness. Dr. Timothy Brown had studied all the captured alien data. The hegemony's empire was so big that it needed massive communication networks to coordinate everything. Supply lines stretched across thousands of light years. Command structures were centralized around key worlds and installations. All of these things could be targeted and destroyed. General Michelle Roberts was coordinating the first strike from her command ship deep in empty space. She had studied the alien empire's structure and identified the most critical targets: shipyards that built their war machines, communication relays that coordinated their fleets, supply depots that fed their armies. All of these targets would be hit at the same time. All strike teams, this is General Roberts, she announced. Operation Dismantle is now active. Begin simultaneous attacks on all primary targets. Show the galaxy that humanity keeps its promises. Across hegemony space, human ships appeared without warning. They struck hard and fast, then vanished before the aliens could respond. The first targets to die were the shipyards. These massive space stations built the warships that kept the Empire's military strong. Each shipyard could produce hundreds of ships every year. Captain Nicole Parker led Squadron 7 against the hegemony's largest shipyard. The alien station was the size of a small moon. It was defended by a full battle fleet and surrounded by weapon platforms. The aliens thought it was safe. They were wrong. Nicole's ships appeared right next to the shipyard, having traveled through hyperspace in ways the aliens didn't understand. Before the defenders could react, quantum disruptors began tearing the station apart. Target the main construction bays first, Nicole ordered. Then hit the raw material storage areas, make sure they can't rebuild quickly. The invisible beams reached out and began erasing sections of the shipyard from existence. Construction bays that had been building new warships simply stopped being there. Storage areas full of metal and other materials vanished completely. The alien defenders tried to fight back, but they were facing weapons they couldn't understand. Their energy shields were useless against quantum attacks. Their thick armor couldn't stop beams that worked at the atomic level. Within minutes, the massive shipyard was a drifting wreck. The aliens would not be building new ships there for a very long time. The same thing was happening all across the Empire. Communication relay stations that coordinated fleet movements were destroyed by gravity weapons that turned the stations' own mass against them. Supply convoys carrying food and ammunition to military bases were intercepted by human ships and erased from existence. The hegemony tried to respond, but they couldn't. Their communication networks were being systematically destroyed. Fleet commanders couldn't contact each other. Supply officers didn't know where their convoys had gone. Entire military districts were going dark as their command centers were eliminated. Captain Amy Turner was leading attacks on the alien military academies. These schools trained the officers who led hegemony fleets. Destroying them would cripple the Empire's ability to replace leaders lost in battle. Target confirmed, Amy's weapons officer reported. The Hegemony Naval Academy on Vex Prime. Estimated 10,000 officer candidates on site. Amy felt no sympathy for the aliens. They had come to destroy Earth and enslave humanity. Now they would face the consequences. Fire all weapons, she ordered. Make sure none of them graduate. The Academy complex vanished in a flash of quantum fire. 10,000 future alien officers died instantly, along with their instructors and all the knowledge they carried. As weeks passed, the attacks continued. The hegemony's military machine was falling apart piece by piece. Worlds that had been loyal to the Empire for centuries began to rebel as news of the defeat spread. Species that had been enslaved for generations saw their chance for freedom. Emperor Fexathalan was desperate. His empire, which had seemed eternal and unbeatable, was crumbling under attacks by a species that had been dismissed as primitive. He called for emergency meetings with his remaining generals. "How many fleets do we still have operational?" he demanded. General Crexmore looked at the reports with growing despair. "Your Majesty, we have lost contact with over 60% of our military districts. Our shipyards are destroyed or offline. Our communication networks are failing. We estimate that less than 30% of our fleets are still combat effective." The Emperor could not believe what he was hearing. His mighty empire was being destroyed by humans who had barely learned to fly between stars 50 years ago. In a final act of desperation, Emperor Vexthalan sent a message to Earth. The same species that had demanded humanity's surrender was now begging for mercy. People of Earth, the Emperor's message said, we acknowledge that we underestimated your capabilities. We are prepared to negotiate a ceasefire. We will withdraw from all human territories and agree to non-aggression treaties. Please stop these attacks. President Catherine Blake received the message in her secure bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. She discussed it with Admiral Morrison and the other military leaders. Their response was broadcast across the galaxy, ensuring that every species would hear humanity's words. To Emperor Vexithalan and the hegemony, President Blake said into the camera, "You came to our world with demands for surrender. You threatened to destroy our cities and enslave our people. You said resistance would result in total annihilation." She paused, letting the words sink in. The Empire was warned. We told you not to breach our atmosphere, but you came anyway. Now you face the consequences of that decision. This is what happens when you threaten Earth. The message continued. Your empire is built on the suffering of enslaved species. Your military exists to conquer and destroy innocent worlds. We will not negotiate with you. We will not make treaties with you. We will continue our attacks until your empire no longer has the ability to threaten any world, anywhere. The final part of the message was heard by every enslaved species in the galaxy. To all peoples suffering under hegemony rule, humanity offers its protection to any species that asks for help. The age of the Empire is ending. The age of freedom has begun. As the message ended, rebellions broke out on hundreds of worlds. Species that had been enslaved for generations rose up against their alien oppressors. The hegemony's remaining forces were spread too thin to stop all the uprisings. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching reports come in from across the galaxy. The empire that had conquered 1,000 worlds was falling apart. Their fleets were scattered and broken. Their communication networks were destroyed. Their shipyards were silent. But most importantly, their reputation for invincibility was shattered. Every species in the galaxy now knew that the mighty hegemony could be defeated. They had been brought down by a single world that had refused to surrender. Earth stood victorious, and the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had kept its promise.